It's Black Friday, and Walmart has just announced this week that it will discontinue its DEI programs, stop trying to include Black businesses and women-owned businesses as suppliers, and remove LGBTQ merchandise from its stores. Walmart is the nation's largest employer with 1.6 million U.S. workers, and they're not the only ones. Lowe's, Harley-Davidson, Toyota, Ford Motor Company, and Molson Coors have all announced plans to scale back their DEI initiatives too. It's part of a larger effort by Trump conservatives to portray white Americans as the true victims of racism in America. It's like the story of Wicked, where a spectacular con artist and a sycophant convinced the gullible white people of Oz that the bullied green woman is the real villain instead of the rich white man who rules over their lives. DEI means diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it's a set of ideas that started in the 1960s to enable Black people to be treated fairly in America after centuries of racial oppression. The reason why you have a job, can go to college, or live in the neighborhood you want is largely because of DEI. Civil rights laws in the 1960s made it illegal to discriminate against Black people, but after hundreds of years of state-sanctioned white privilege, treating everybody, quote, equally, only freezes the status quo in place. If white people on average have $110 and Black people only have $10, and you give everybody $90 equally, white people will have $200 and Black people will have $100, meaning white people will still have $100 more than Black people. It's not just theoretical. A study in 2015 in Greater Boston found that the average net worth of white households was $247,000. But for Black American households, it was only $8. That's not a misquote, a misprint, or a mistake. That's an intentional miscarriage of justice. That's why race-neutral solutions to race-specific problems don't work. DEI made it a priority for schools, employers, businesses, and government agencies to recruit and retain Black people. But when the Supreme Court struck down race-based affirmative action in college admissions in 2023, it opened the doors for a flood of local, state, and federal litigation and legislation to claim that white people are being oppressed by a non-existent thing called reverse racism. Since that time, a Trump-appointed federal judge here in Texas ruled that the Minority Business Development Agency must now help white men. Two Trump-appointed federal appeals judges in Georgia ruled that a venture capital fund for Black women can no longer focus on helping Black women. A Trump-appointed federal judge here in Texas also blocked aid for Black farmers because it was unfair to white men. And Trump himself has announced that his administration plans to pay restitution to presumably white students he feels are victims of DEI. Never mind the fact that Black people experience higher unemployment, lower wages, more student loan debt, lower home ownership rates, and grossly disproportionate arrest and incarceration rates. They say when you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. I'm not sure if white Americans really believe that they are the ones oppressed, but their collective sense of innocence and entitlement depends on perpetuating that fraud. So what can you do? 1, you can stop shopping at places that don't care about you. 2, you can support Black-owned businesses. And 3, you can support lawmakers who support DEI. But most importantly, you need to be aware. With Trump and Elon Musk attempting to control the levers of power in government, media, education, and corporate boardrooms in America, the next 4 years will usher in a deluge of racial brainwashing, reprogramming, and misinformation. Just like the leaders of Oz, they will manipulate the truth and exploit their power to convince the people that the oppressors are the victims and the victims are the oppressors. Don't let them rewrite our history.